Are those twins? Nah, they cousins. Smoke and Stack are probably my two favorite characters from the movie Sinners, and today I just wanted to highlight what made them so effective, how they enhance each other, and what we can learn about good character writing from these two. As usual, I'm going to be breaking my analysis into a few distinct categories: contrast, incremental intrigue, and dynamic conflict. If you end up enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like, as it really helps this video out in the algorithm, and consider subscribing for more reviews, character studies, and scene breakdowns. Okay, now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get right into the analysis. Perhaps the most apparent element of the Smokestack twins is the sharp contrast they have to one another. Though they may look the same, if you've seen the movie, then you know that they each have their own unique backstory, characteristics, and personality that distinguishes them as distinct pieces of an iconic combo. Smoke is the serious, stoic, collected brother who focuses on the practical side of their business, while Stack is the carefree, flamboyant, slick brother who is more outgoing and focuses on the relational side of their business. The movie establishes these differences right away, and after briefly introducing them together, by separating the brothers early on, it allows for the audience to see each twin's personality apart from the other, helping to distinguish them as each of them gets their own unique character. For example, we see in the first act of the film how Smoke gets the chows to come work at the juke joint using his serious, matter-of-fact negotiating with a professional demeanor. On the other hand, we see Stack recruit Delta Slim by using their personal relationship, unconventional bargaining with alcohol, and brash and outlandish promises of how successful their joint will be. The same could be said for the way Smoke humbly and sensitively comes to recruit Annie, as compared to the way that Stack recruits Cornbread through crude humor. Early on, the movie establishes that Smoke and Stack go about things very differently, and that early setup allows for the audience to see each one as distinct from the other later in the film, even when both of them are on the screen together. Further highlighting the two's distinct personalities is their attire throughout the film. In the beginning of the movie, Smoke dons a blue flat cap, while Stack brandishes a red hat, and both of them have matching light red and light blue shirts underneath their suits. Additionally, Stack's suit is much more neat and slick, focused on style, while Smoke's suit is more baggy and less fitted, focused on practicality, allowing him to hide his guns. On top of the style of each outfit revealing the differences between the two, the sharp contrast of colors also symbolizes the vastly different personalities. Blue associated with the working man, professionalism, and seriousness, while red is commonly associated with extravagance, danger, and passion. Red symbolizes evil, while blue symbolizes good, which stands out even more apparently towards the end of the film when Stack has been turned into a vampire while Smoke is fighting amongst the survivors. Again, look at their outfits in the last act of the film, with Smoke wearing a white tank top while Stack dons a black vest, with white symbolizing light and black symbolizing darkness. All throughout the film, the twins' outfits and personalities clash against one another, and that contrast is what makes for such a dynamic combination. What Smoke lacks in levity, Stack makes up for with his arrogance. What Stack lacks in maturity, Smoke makes up for with his professionalism. The two work so well together because their strengths offset each other's weaknesses. The contrast completes the combo. At the beginning of Sinners, the Smokestack twins are super interesting and mysterious characters that stand out amongst the other people in the Delta. They are unlike the rest of the black folk living in Clarksdale, who live humble lives in poverty and oppression. Somehow, these brothers escaped that life, forged their own path, and now have returned home wealthy and are looking to run their own business, and that uniqueness makes them much more peculiar and noticeable than the rest of the cast. Their out-of-place nature naturally raises a ton of questions about their past, and the film cleverly reveals their backstory little by little, leaving plenty of room for speculation and anticipation in between. Over the course of the story, we learn more and more about the twins, how they ran away from home after Smoke Smoke killed their father, how they fought in the First World War, how they worked for Al Capone in Chicago, the movie knows that these characters have an interesting backstory, and the film takes its time slowly revealing more about the twins, which keeps them mysterious and keeps the audience engaged. Imagine that at the beginning of the movie, we just got a huge information dump about the twins and their lives that just explained all the mysteries of their past. Sure, there would be a ton of rich backstory to call back on and delve into, but for the rest of the movie, these intriguing characters would have lost most of that mysterious aura about them. The audience would know all of the elements of their story, and so they would lose that mystifying luster. Sinners, however, doesn't rush its development and incrementally gives the viewers bits and pieces of Smoke's and Stack's past so that the audience has time to speculate and anticipate. Without the complete picture of the puzzle, it requires the audience to speculate and engage with the little information that they do have, trying to fill in the gaps and piece the puzzle together themselves. An incomplete puzzle requires much more thought and participation than a fully completed puzzle, and so the intentional choice to incrementally reveal more about the Smokestack twins lends itself to keeping them interesting, mysterious, and engaging throughout the entire film, which is another aspect of why the two are so well written. It's one thing to have interesting characters, but if the movie doesn't put those characters in the right situations, then the movie can still have a feeble story. Weak conflict can waste strong characters, but luckily, Sinners puts the brothers through some of the most dynamic conflicts possible, and it makes for an extremely emotional and compelling combo. Though the two hardly have any conflict or disagreements aside from Smoke's conservative, business-minded approach to running the juke joint coming into disagreement with Stack's riskier, reckless approach, the end of the film really makes up for it with a tense third act. If you have seen the movie, then you know that Stack turns into a vampire towards the end of the film, and this pits Smoke and Stack against one another for the first time in their entire lives. However, this conflict is even stronger and more impactful when taking the history of the twins into consideration. All his life, Smoke has been protecting Stack, starting from the time he killed their father all the way up until now. As we touched on in the previous categories, Stack has always been the flamboyant personality, always getting into trouble, and Smoke has always been there to get his brothers back and keep him safe. When Mary kills Stack, Smoke feels a sense of responsibility, like he has let his brother down. He wasn't there to protect him. However, when Stack comes back as a vampire, Smoke is now put in an oppositional position to Stack. They aren't facing a new threat together, they are facing each other as a new threat. The scene where Stack implores Smoke to join him and become a vampire is so tense and powerful because we have spent the entire movie learning about the twins' inseparable bond. They have been together for their entire lives, have had each other's backs no matter what, and now Smoke is faced with the extremely emotional decision to either join his brother but lose his soul, or oppose his brother and kill Stack himself. The inseparable twins are pitted against each other, the combo is turned against itself, and that kind of poetic friction is the rich, emotionally riveting kind of conflict that can really hit hard and resonate with an audience long after the credits have rolled. Being an identical twin myself, and seeing the excellent way Smoke and Stack are written as individuals as well as a tandem, and how their dynamics and chemistry grow, develop, and abruptly change over the course of a movie was so thrilling to see on the big screen, and I truly think that there is a lot to learn about great character writing by analyzing the Smokestack twins. If you stuck around till the end of the video, I would definitely appreciate it if you left a like and subscribed if you want to see even more reviews, character studies, and breakdowns like this one. If you enjoyed this character study, you would probably like some of my other ones, so consider checking those out on the playlist that's on the screen now, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a great day.